Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make a random number. You might wonder why would we need to make random numbers? What's the point? And the cool thing about random numbers is sometimes you don't want always everything to always be predictable about what happens. Sometimes you can create really cool designs and really cool artwork when things kind of happen on their own, all right? And it's probably easier for me to show you this and try to explain it. So I'm just going to show you how to make random numbers, and then we'll try to figure out ways that we can use them to make cool things happen. So the first thing you need to know about making random numbers and processing is that it's a different kind of data type than an integer. All right, so integers are whole numbers, and eventually we're going to need it to be a whole number. But unfortunately, when processing makes random numbers, they don't make them as integers. They make them as a data type called a float. And you'd spell it just like if you're floating on a raft or a root beer float. It's spelled exactly the same way. So it's really important when we make our variables that are going to be our random numbers that we make them as floats. So let me do this at the top here. So I'm going to type in float. All right. And I'm going to call this is a variable, but it's going to store a random number eventually. But for right now, I'm just going to call it random chicken. Okay. And right now, I'm not going to make it equal to anything. I'm just going to initialize it. So initializing means you create a variable that you can use, but to start with, it doesn't have a value. So I'm just going to end it with a semicolon. All right, so now I've created random chicken and I've said it's going to be a float. So you notice I have my two other functions here, my setup and my draw function. I'm not even going to use the draw function right now. I'm only going to use the setup one just so I can show you how to make a random number. So inside the setup function, I have the size function set to 500 by 500. That can be whatever you want, but that's just what I used. And now um, the function used to create a random number is really easy to remember. It's just random. All right, and in the parentheses, like all functions, you put in a value, and that value is going to be um, the how far you want the number to go. All right, or I guess the how many numbers between. So anyway, for now I'm just going to put a 10 in there. And what this 10 means is that it's going to pick a number between 0 and 10. It's going to generate that number. Now, if you put one number in here, it just assumes that it's going to be between 0 and that number. If you put in 2, if I put in a comma and then I put like 20, now it's going to pick a number between 10 and 20. But we don't need to worry about that right now. For right now, we're just going to pick a number between 1 and 10. And now I want to assign this random number to that variable. So now I'm going to go to my random chicken and I'm going to make it equal to that. So now random chicken is equal to this random 10. So when this happens, it's going to make a random number and make it equal to random chicken. Now, if I run this, I'm not going to see anything happen. So how do I know that random chicken now has this number? Well, what we can do is use the console down here to generate a number, or not generate a number, to print something to it. So what I want to do is after I create random chicken, I want to print it to the console. And so right below there, I'm going to use a handy little function called println. All right, and the ln is kind of short for line. So every time it prints, it's going to print it on a new line. I'm going to do a parentheses, and then I'm going to put in random chicken. So it's just going to print this to the console when I run it. All right, and the reason why I'm not doing this in the draw area, in the draw function, because I don't want it to repeat. I only want it to do one time. And that's what the setup function does, is it runs one time. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to run it, and it should. There we go. So down here, you notice it's 5.273367. So Like I said, a float has decimal places after it. It's not a whole number. It's got decimal places, all right? And so what I want to do is now make this into an integer, all right? And what you can do is inside this print thing, I'm going to wrap random chicken inside this int function. So this int function, so I have int and then opening parentheses, closing parentheses, will turn whatever's inside of it into an integer. So now when I hit play, instead of getting all these decimal places after, I should just get a whole number. There we go, 4. I'm going to run it again. Now it's a 3. Okay, so every time I run it, it's going to create a new number, 1, between 1 and 10. Notice if I change this number inside random to something else, let's say 1,000, now I should get a number between 0 and 1,000. 925, 27. All right, so that's how you make a random number and turn it into an integer. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how we can use this in our sketches to make really cool things happen. Bye.